Hello guys, hope you all doing well and welcome back to our Windows Server 2022 migration video tutorial series. In this video, we are going to see the steps on how to migrate Active Directory from Windows Server 2008 R2 to Windows Server 2022. Windows Server 2008 and Windows Server 2008 R2 operating systems have already reached the end of their support cycles. Because of this, many organizations wanted to migrate away from these legacy operating systems. End-of-life operating systems have a direct impact on various industry compliances, IT audits, penetration tests, and so on. Even organization doesn't have a business requirement to upgrade, end-of-life operating system leaves no choice but to upgrade. In the past, I did a similar video series covering Active Directory migration from Windows Server 2008 to Windows Server 2019. Microsoft has already released Windows Server 2022, and I thought let's create a video on how we can migrate Active Directory from 2008 R2 to the newest. Active Directory migrations from other newer operating systems than Windows Server 2008 R2 also follow a similar process. Let's first discuss few most common question answers about Active Directory migration. We can keep the same old IP address for the root domain controller. Active Directory fully supports IP address changes. Once FSMO role migration is completed, we can swap the IP addresses of domain controllers. We can also downgrade forest and domain functional labels if required, but this is not a recommended approach. There is no need to migrate the DNS rules separately. As we add a new domain controller, we can make it as a DNS server too. If your domain is built based on Windows Server 2008 or Windows Server 2008 R2, you are already using DFS for sysvol replication. If you originally migrated from Windows Server 2003, it is more likely you are still using FRS. In that case, before starting migration, we need to change the sysvol replication method from FRS to DFS. Before upgrading the forest and domain functional labels, it is necessary to decommission the old Windows Server 2008 R2 domain controllers. In order to successfully migrate Active Directory, it's important to follow this checklist. Evaluate the business requirements for Active Directory migration. Perform an audit on the existing Active Directory infrastructure to verify its health. Create a detailed implementation plan. And last, prepare the physical server or virtual machine for the DC. This is a very straightforward procedure, but first you need to test it in your test environment. I am using the test lab created in Oracle VirtualBox for the demonstration. In my test lab, we have a single DC Active Directory domain with the domain name msftwebcast.com. This is our root domain controller running on Windows Server 2008 R2. On this server, Active Directory domain services installed and configured with DNS server role. Currently, Windows Server 2008 R2 domain controller holds all 5 FSMO roles. Let me show you that. Let's open command prompt. Type command netdom query FSMO and press enter key. We can confirm that the Windows Server 2008 R2 holds all 5 FSMO roles at the moment. Let's check the domain and forest functional label. Type dsa.msc and press enter key to open Active Directory users and computer snap-in. Right-click on our domain and click on properties. Check the current forest and domain functional labels. We can confirm that the domain and forest functional labels currently operate at Windows Server 2008 R2. Let's check DFSR sysvol replication status. Let's go back to command prompt. Type command dfsr mig / get global state and press enter key. If response is start, it means you are using FRS, and if response is eliminated, it means you are using DFSR for sysvol replication. From the output, we can confirm that we are already using DFSR for sysvol replication in our Active Directory domain. If you see a response start, then you have to migrate sysvol replication to DFSR. Let's go to Windows Server 2022 VM. A new domain controller with Windows Server 2022 will be introduced and will be the new FSMO role holder for this domain. Once the FSMO role migration is complete, the domain controller running Windows Server 2008 R2 will be decommissioned. After that, the forest and domain functional labels will be raised to Windows Server 2016. This is a Windows Server 2022 virtual machine. After you have installed the Windows Server 2022, there will be most likely be several updates waiting to be installed. So go ahead and install them, repeat until complete. In my lab setup, Windows Server 2022 is updated to the latest version with all available updates are already installed. These are the total 5 steps which we are going to perform during the migration of Active Directory from Windows Server 2008 R2 to Windows Server 2022. The first step is to join this Windows Server 2022 to our existing Active Directory domain. We want to assign a static IP to our Windows Server 2022 using a Windows PowerShell. Right-click on Start menu and select Windows PowerShell Admin. To list the available network interfaces on the server, run the command get-net adapter. Let's press enter key. In our case, the server has only one network interface called Ethernet. In order to display the current IP address, run command get-net IP configuration -interface alias, and which is going to be Ethernet in our case. Let's press enter key. As you can see, we don't have any static IP address assigned to this Windows Server 2022. We can use the new -net IP address cmdelete to set a static IP address for a network interface. For example, new -net IP address IP address 172.168.72.49 prefix length 24 default gateway 172.168.72.1 interface alias Ethernet. This cmdelete will assign a static IP address 172.168.72.49 with subnet mask 255.255.255.0 with default gateway's address 172.168.72.1 on network interface with the name Ethernet. Let's press enter key to assign a static IP address to this Windows Server 2022. You can see the IP address has been set successfully. Next, we want to set up preferred DNS server's address for the network interface. For that, we will use command set-dns client server address -server address, which is going to be 172.168.72.50. This is the IP address of our Windows Server 2008 R2 domain controller. -interface alias, which is again going to be Ethernet in our case. Let's press enter key. Preferred DNS server's address has been also configured. In order to display the current IP address of this connection, run the command get-net IP configuration -interface alias, which is going to be Ethernet. Let's press enter key. One more time, check the current TCP IP configuration for this Windows Server 2022. We have successfully assigned static IP address to this Windows Server 2022. After network configuration, ping the domain name to verify DNS name resolution and network connectivity. Type ping msftwebcast.com and press enter key. Here, msftwebcast.com is the name of our existing Active Directory domain. We are getting a reply back from the IP address 172.168.72.50. This means we have network connectivity with our DC and DNS name resolution is working perfectly fine. Now we are ready to join our Windows Server 2022 to our existing AD domain. Type cmdelete add -computer -domain name, which is going to be msftwebcast.com in our case. -restart. Let's press enter key. We will get prompted to enter our credentials. This will need to be a domain administrator account or a user that has been delegated rights to join computers to the domain. Here, I'll type the username administrator at msftwebcast.com and let's enter user's password. Click on OK. The server should automatically restart and be joined to our existing Active Directory domain. After restart, log into Windows Server 2022 using the domain administrator's username and password. Let's press Ctrl-Alt-Delete key combination. Click on Other User. Type domain administrator's username and password to sign into this domain join Windows Server 2022. The Server Manager dashboard will open automatically. We have successfully joined this Windows Server 2022 to our existing Active Directory domain. Close the Server Manager dashboard. The second step is to prepare our existing Active Directory forest. To install the first domain controller that runs the latest Windows Server version in an existing domain and forest, we need to prepare our existing Active Directory forest using adprep utility. Go to Windows Server 2008 R2 DC. Type regedit and press enter key to open registry editor. Go to HK local machine, system, current control set, services and find service entities and click on parameters. As we can see, the schema version in Active Directory 2008 R2 is object version 47. We need to upgrade Active Directory schema version to support Windows Server 2022 as a DC in our AD forest. We will run adprep command from our Windows Server 2022 as I'm getting an error failed to verify file signature on Windows Server 2008 R2 DC. Go back to Windows Server 2022 VM. Mount Windows Server 2022 ISO image in this Windows Server 2022 VM. Make sure that you have logged on with an account that has sufficient credentials to run adprep.exe. You must be a member of the Schema Admins group, the Enterprise Admins group, and the Domain Admins group of the domain that host the Schema Master, which is by default the forest root domain. On this server, we have login as a domain administrator of our forest root domain, so we have sufficient permissions to perform the task. Right-click on Start menu and select Windows PowerShell. Go to Installation Media Drive, which is D in our case. In Windows Server 2022, adprep.exe is located in the Support adprep folder of the installation DVD. Type cd support/adprep and press enter key. Tap the cmdelete adprep.exe/forestprep and press enter key. Type C and press enter key to continue with the forest preparation. we can see current schema version is 47 and it is going to upgrade Active Directory schema to version 88. The process has been started successfully. This will take few seconds to upgrade AD schema version to 88. The command has completed successfully. AD prep successfully updated the forest-wide information. Now we need to type command adprep.exe/domain-prep. Let's press enter key to update domain-wide information. Let's again check the schema version on our Windows Server 2008 R2DC. On regedit, let's press F5 key to update the information. And now again check the schema version on Server 2008 R2DC. Now it should be 88. The second step to prepare our existing Active Directory forest is completed successfully. Now we can add Windows Server 2022 as a DC in our existing forest. Let's go to Windows Server 2022 VM. The third step is to add this Windows Server 2022 as an ADC in our existing Active Directory domain. For that, we need to install Active Directory Domain Services on the Windows Server 2022, and that can be done easily with Windows PowerShell. If you haven't opened Windows PowerShell, then right-click on Start menu and click on Windows PowerShell Admin. In an administrative Windows PowerShell prompt, enter cmd install -Windows feature -name ad-domain -services. We also want to include management tools, so I'm going to use switch-include management tools. Let's press enter key to install Active Directory Domain Services on this Windows Server 2022. Installation process will take few seconds to complete. Wait for the installation process to complete. Active Directory Domain Services with the required features and management tool installed successfully on this server. Once ADDS is installed, we will promote the Windows Server 2022 to a DC in our existing Active Directory domain. To do that, open Server Manager. Click on Start menu. Click on Server Manager tile to open Server Manager dashboard. On Server Manager dashboard, we will see a yellow notification mark highlighting post-deployment configuration required for Active Directory Domain Services on the Windows Server 2022. Click on Notification. Click on Promote this server to a domain controller, and this will launch the Active Directory Domain Services configuration wizard. From the list of available deployment operation options, select Add a DC to an existing domain option. We have single domain forest, and this Windows Server 2022 is already joined to Active Directory domain msfpwebcast.com. In our case, there is no need to select a domain or specify the user credential. If required, you can click on Change to specify user credentials to promote this server as an ADC. Click on Next to continue. On Domain Controllers Options page, this will take few seconds to show you all available options. Make sure that DNS and Global Catalog checkboxes are selected. This DC will stored under the default first site name, as we don't have any other Active Directory sites than the default. Fill in the Directory Services Restore Mode password. When ready, click Next. On DNS Options page, you can safely ignore the warning. It is about DNS delegation. Click Next to continue. On the Specify Install from Media Options screen, select the option that suits your scenario based. In our case, we will click on Next. Decide where you want the NTDS, log file folder and sysvol folder to be located. Since this is a test lab, we will go with the default locations. Click Next. On Review Options page, click Next. All checks passed successfully. We can now click on Install to begin the installation process. Click on Install to start the promotion of the server to a DC. As we can see, the promotion process has been started successfully. This will take some time to complete the process. Once the process completes, the server will restart automatically. And after restart, the server will start acting as a EDC in your existing Active Directory domain msftwebcast.com. As you can see, the server is about to restart. Press Ctrl-Alt-Delete key combination. After reboot, let's sign in again to our newly promoted ADC using the domain administrator's username and password. Upon login, the Server Manager dashboard opens automatically. Go to Run, type ncpa.cpl and press Enter key. Right-click on the Ethernet adapter and select Properties. Double-click on IP version 4. Change the preferred DNS server's address to local DNS server's IP address, which is 49. So preferred DNS server's address is 172.168.72.49. If you want, you can also add alternate DNS server's address, which is going to be 172.168.72.50. This is the IP address of our Windows Server 2008 R2 DC. Click on OK. Click on OK again and close the Network Connections console. Let's check the replication between both domain controllers. Click on Tools and select Active Directory Sites and Services. Expand Sites, default first site name, expand servers, expand our Windows Server 2022 domain controller and click on NTDS settings. Let me maximize it. Right-click on NTDS settings, select all tasks and click on Check Replication Topology. We can see the message Active Directory Domain Services on this DC has checked the replication topology. You will need to refresh the site's container to see new or deleted connections. Click on OK. Click on Refresh to see the updated connections list. Since both DCs are in same site, the intra-site replication will be faster. Right-click on Automatically Generated Replication link between Server 2008 R2 to Server 2022 and select Replicate Now. We can confirm that the Active Directory Domain Services has replicated the connections. Click on OK. You have to perform the same steps on Windows Server 2008 R2 DC. And if replication from Windows Server 2008 R2 is also successful, that means both outbound and inbound replication is completed successfully. We can also do the same thing from this server as well, but it is recommended that you perform the steps from Windows Server 2008 R2. Let's right-click on Automatic Generated Link, and this link is coming from our Server 2022 DC. So we can confirm that the inbound and outbound replication has been completed successfully. Both domain controllers are successfully able to replicate data between each other. Now let's move to fourth step. The fourth step is to move FSMO to the new DC. You want to transfer all FSMO roles from Windows Server 2008 R2 to Windows Server 2022. To do that, open Administrative PowerShell window on Windows Server 2022 DC. Right-click on Start menu and click on Windows PowerShell Admin. Let me increase the font size of this PowerShell. In PowerShell window, use cmdelete move-ad directory server operation masters role. -identity, here we need to specify the name of the server to which we want to assign FSMO roles. In our case, it is going to be WS 2k22-DC. Then we need to specify which operation master role we want to transfer. You can enter the name of each operation master role or use numbers to specify the roles. Here we will specify the number 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. This same will assign all 5 FSMO roles to Windows Server 2022 DC. Press Enter key to continue. Each role transfer will ask for the confirmation before transferring the role to Windows Server 2022. You can type Y for each role to transfer it to Windows Server 2022 or type A and press Enter key to continue with the transfer process for all 5 roles. Now that we have moved the FSMO roles, we should verify that they are in a place correctly on the new DC. To do that, type command netdom query fsmo and press Enter key. Verify that all 5 FSMO roles are assigned to Windows Server 2022 DC. It is highly recommended in production environment you monitor logs, keep checking AD replications and wait for a few days to move to the next step. You have to make sure that everything is working normally with Windows Server 2022 DC. And once you are sure about that, then move to the 5th step. The 5th step is to demote the old Windows Server 2008 R2 DC. Before proceeding to the next steps, make sure anything on your network that may be using Windows Server 2008 R2 for DNS has been pointed to your new domain controllers. Don't forget to change the DNS server's address that are being distributed using DHCP. For that, you have to update your DHCP scopes and change your new DCs to look at themselves for DNS, not the DC you are about to demote. So in short, you have to update the IP address of DNS servers in DHCP scope. You have to specify the IP address of your new Windows Server 2022 as a preferred DNS server. Let's go to Windows Server 2008 R2 DC. Let me close everything. Before proceeding with the 5th and last step, I want to check replication from this server as well. Go to Run, type dessite.msc and press Enter key. This will open Active Directory sites and services. Expand sites, default first site name, servers, and expand our 2008 R2 DC. Right click on NTDS settings. Check replication topology. Refresh once, right click on automatic generated link, and we can confirm that Active Directory domain services has replicated the connections successfully. Let me close this. Now go to Run, type DC promo and press Enter key. It will open the DC promo wizard. Click on Next to continue. The pop-up message is informing us that this server is also configured as a global catalog. So make sure you have another global catalog in your Active Directory. Remember, our Windows Server 2022 DC is also configured as a global catalog server. Click on OK. On the next page, also click on Next as it is not the last DC. On this page, type a new password for the local administrator account. We will need this password if you want to log in locally on this server. Click Next. In Summary page, click Next to start the removal process. Select Reboot the Server checkbox to restart server automatically when the process is completed. Remember, the Windows Server 2008 R2 is still member of our Active Directory domain. Go back to Windows Server 2022 DC. After we demote our last domain controller running with Windows Server 2008 R2, we can raise domain and forest functional level to Windows Server 2016. To upgrade the domain functional level, we can use PowerShell command in the Windows Server 2022 DC. You have to open Windows PowerShell with admin. First, we will raise the domain functional level. Remember, Windows Server 2016 is the highest forest and domain functional level available in Windows Server 2022. Let's type the cmd set-ad domain mode -identity. Here we have to specify the name of our Active Directory domain, which is msfpwebcast.com in my case, and then we can specify domain mode, which is going to be Windows 2016 domain. Let's press enter key, type Y and press enter key. Perfect. To upgrade forest functional level, use this command set-ad forest mode -identity, again msfpwebcast.com, and then we need to specify forest mode using switch-forest mode, which is again going to be Windows 2016 forest. Let's press enter key, again type Y and press enter key. We have successfully raised domain and forest functional level. Let's open Active Directory users and computer snapping. We want to verify the domain functional labels and forest functional labels. We can confirm that domain functional label and forest functional label is set to Windows Server 2016. Now we have completed the Active Directory migration from Windows Server 2008 R2 to Windows Server 2022. The same steps apply when you are migrating Active Directory from Windows Server 2012, Windows Server 2012 R2, Windows Server 2016, and Windows Server 2019. That's all for this video on how to migrate Active Directory from Windows Server 2008 R2 to Windows Server 2022. I hope you found this video helpful and interesting. If you have any questions and suggestions, please let me know in the comment section. Thank you all for watching this video. Have a nice day.